What if you could have a professional cinematographer help you out with your short films or home videos? Well, today I'm going to make that happen for you. Jeffrey Seckendorf is here. He's an award-winning director of photography for movies, commercials, music videos. He's going to have some advice for you on how to increase the production value of your projects, whether they're birthday videos or your own digital film. Pleasure to have you here today, Jeffrey.
Great to be here.
So, the thing is, the technology is so accessible these days. Everybody's got a mini DV camera, I think, or some kind of digital camera. But I think a lot of people just pick it up and start shooting. And we talked beforehand, and you said, that for you, that you approach a birthday video the same way you do a feature film. So what should people be doing instead of just picking up that camera and shooting? What do you do before you start shooting?
Yeah, we talked about that. It's so interesting that really the production is production. Mm-hmm. And it really doesn't matter if you're shooting your kid's birthday, if you're shooting a feature film. The basic concepts of how to get going are all the same. And really,
the kid will like it. They're the star, right?
Of course they're the star. They get makeup, they get green rooms, trailers. But really it's about the script. Like anything else, it's about a script. So you never start a feature film, a short film, even a commercial, anything without a script. But people go into their own projects, hi honey, here's the camera, let's shoot, without really giving any thought to what the outcome of the story is.
So what kind of a script would you do for a birthday video?
You can make it up. I mean, you can write something, you can, it's whatever's at hand, make the story about the presents, make the story about the kids. The thing is to have a story and to have some kind of focus that you can start with and work off like that. I think that's really the key to it at any point.
So even if it's not as elaborate as a feature film, of course, but at least you have some kind of a plan of what you're doing.
Right, you probably don't need to put the car chases in your kid's home video, but the point is, it
depends on what your household is like.
It's possible. It's possible. Bicycle chases. So I think it's a question of like starting out. It's like what do you want to do, and thinking about that before you start. Now, in any kind of feature film production, short film production, anything like that, the most vital part of the whole project is the prep. Nothing. We don't go anywhere near a camera on a feature until weeks or months and months of preparation to figure out exactly what we're going to do, to location scout, to look at lighting, to look at how we're going to create things, how we're going to block scenes, things like that. And I think that with the accessibility now of the tools of filmmaking going into everybody's hands, I mean, pretty much for nothing now you can, if you buy a computer, it comes with editing software. If you go to the dime store, you can buy a video camera.
Yeah, so, some of them even come with the cameras built in now.
And you've got all that, but what you don't get is a script.
Right.
So
still got to write the script.
We're still in that. We're in this big technological revolution. But what we're not revolutionizing is writing.
Well, you talk about prep. We have a clip from a film that you worked on, and we'll take a look at that and then talk about the kind of prep that you do before you work on a feature.
Sorry, do you need anything?
Yeah. Can you hold this?
No, I gotta go. I'm late.
Look, I've been waiting for ages, and you're perfect.
All right. Now, I believe you were actually the director on this film, though, not just director of photography, because you've been transitioning into directing.
Yes, that's true.
But so how would you prep for something like this?
Well, this, and we'll see another clip later, where this is a 7-minute movie that's got 39 visual effects shots in it.
In 7 minutes?
In 7 minutes. Wow. So a lot of this was trying to create create a system to create those elements that incorporated all the different aspects of cinematography, digital visual effects, how the actors are going to react, how the stunts were going to happen, and so on like that. So really it's a question of getting everybody on the same page, whoever happens to be involved in the project. So in this case it would have been me, the director of photography, the visual effects supervisor, the production designer, the on-set visual effects guy, the editor, all of these people coming together.
Wouldn't it be nice to have all that for the home video too?
But the thing is, when you look at it, you kind of have it. Really, you have it. You've got, somebody's got the concept, there's a director. Somebody's got a camera, there's a director of photography. Someone's going to put it together later, so there's an editor. Now, if it's the same person, if it's one person, still, it's important to sort of separate yourself out on these jobs. So when you're shooting, you're also looking at exactly how you're going to edit the piece. When you're editing it, you're looking at exactly how the music is going to work. And you actually, we always talk about writer-directors, people who write and direct for themselves, must be the writer and finish writing and then stop that and then become the director. Because if you try to direct while you're writing, you lose the objectivity of the writer. So I think it's the same thing on any project, big, small, or otherwise, that if you're doing 2, 3, 4 jobs, you just do these jobs, but you also, you do them individually, always looking at, as if it's another person, as if the editor's another person, as if the musician's another person, as if, but it really...
So maybe you have to be honest with yourself if the writing isn't working at a certain point when you're shooting something, maybe you have to make changes or something, even if you wrote it,
Or, bring in some help. Certainly filmmaking and filmmaking is a collaborative art form. There's no question that it's a collaborative art form, and the concept of the auteur, who we always look at as being all things to everybody, still, even if you accept that role, still only works in a collaborative form. Still an auteur's movie is going to have 50 or 60 or 80 people on set, all doing their own jobs. In a small project, it's kind of the same thing.
By the way, I want to say something in favor of these birthday videos, by the way, because you might think, okay, it's a birthday video, but I was taking a class at UCLA, their entertainment studies class on actually starting a production company, and one of the guest speakers said that, I actually don't know what director he was referring to, but he said that somebody started out doing birthday videos for a well-known director. I don't know if it was Spielberg or who they did it for, but somebody, and kind of word got around that, hey, this guy did a good job with these little birthday videos or something, and he started doing it for a lot of industry people. Well, he ended up getting his own, apparently, feature film deal, and now he's apparently an established director just from doing like these little cute birthday videos that got around and people liked him, and so you never know.
I love Los Angeles.
Birthday.
There are great stories everywhere.
Yeah. Have to figure out who that was.
Yeah,
but,
really. Or get a camera.
Yeah. Start making my own birthday video.
There you go.
But so again, I wanted to get more into the elements then.
Yeah.
So how can you do that professional birthday video that would get, a major director's
Get your deal,
attention?
your deal with the next birthday production company. There's a process of prep that I think is really simple and organized. And of course, the way I look at it, it starts with a narrative script. So even if you're going to shoot a home video, even if you're going to go out and shoot a vacation thing, whatever you're going to do, the vital thing is to get some kind of story, get some kind of through line, get some kind of element that hooks you.
So even for the vacation, you have some kind of a...
Why not? Follow something. I mean, it could be silly, follow a bottle of water around. I don't know. Come up with some hook, something that makes it narrative. I mean, the days of forcing people to watch a 4-hour slideshow from the 60s and 70s and 80s have kind of been replaced now by forcing people to watch 3 hours of home movies.
Yeah.
So
and now they're emailed.
And they're emailed and they're on everybody's personal websites. The thing is, if you're, the most vital birthday video, wedding video, whatever it is, could be 3, 4, 5 minutes long. And then you've got something you can actually show people.
That's where editing, right? Instead of the most footage, hours of footage, actually edit it down.
Right. So in The Crux, we took a movie, absolute complete film. It's 7 minutes long.
Wow.
Short films. I came from commercials. That was my my background in filmmaking before I got involved.
So 7 minutes is long to you.
7 minutes was an eternity because we were busy telling stories in 30 seconds. And I think when you look at any of these projects that you can do as a filmmaker, and really if you're shooting your home video, if you're shooting a feature film, whatever, consider yourself a filmmaker. Start with a story, start with a hook, start with the way you're going to do this, and then start to look at how you're going to develop that. What are the elements of the story? I mean, if it's something as silly as follow a water bottle around the Grand Canyon, give the water bottle a personality and let it interact with your family. I mean, you can just be silly, but it gives you a hook and it gives you that narrative place to begin from. So when you start shooting, you can actually break this down into scenes. You look at a script. A script is a complete story with an arc, and it's got 3 acts in it, and each act has an arc, and it's got a bunch of scenes in it, and each scene has an arc, and each shot. You can do the same thing, with any kind of project, be it for home or for a short narrative or whatever.
Okay, well, we'll be right back. We'll figure out how you're going to track this water bottle. We'll be right back after this with Jeffrey Seckendorf. We are back with Jeffrey Seckendorf today, telling how to improve your home movies and make your own short film, make it something that people actually watch instead of imposing. It's like, the pictures of the grandkids now.
That's
they got
right.
all these
Force
videos
them
and
out.
stuff.
Here's the
going
wallet,
around.
right? Whoosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now they're doing the same thing with the home videos. But so you were talking about this idea of, let's say, coming with a hook or following a
story.
water bottle or something. So what's the next thing you do? You've got your hook or you've got your script. What's your next step in preparing that?
Well, I think the thing is to figure out exactly what that script is and just to get something down on paper that gives you some conceptual idea that you can hold on to, and then start to figure out how you're going to create that. And so, like in any narrative, there has to, I talked about this a bit before the break, there has to be an arc.
Okay.
So what is it that creates some tension, that makes something compelling? What we want to see as an audience is a story generally that is we can interact with,
Okay.
that we can place ourselves in vicariously, that we can learn something from, and in the best possible way, it changes our life or changes the world. So,
Sure.
so as you're looking at how you're going to present, either small narrative work that you're doing at home, that you've got a story that you want to put out, or you have something that happened in your family or some event that you want to document or maintain, I really believe the thing to do is to then figure out what about that story becomes interesting to an audience. And we see so many.
Why would people actually want to watch it?
Right, we see so many directors who are making movies for themselves, and filmmaking is so much more a commercial art than that. And really, like any art form, it's vital, I think, that you create work for the viewer, and not for yourself. That we lose.
So even those home movies, make sure there's something people want to watch.
Why if you put yourself in the position of either Aunt Nettie or somebody who's going to just dump on your blog site and look at this thing, what is going to make that piece of film compelling to that person?
Right,
And what are you
something
trying to say? We're all storytellers. All filmmakers are storytellers, and we all have stories to tell, and we all have information to put out. So if you can combine that concept of, I want to be a storyteller, and Greg, I want to tell you my story because it's compelling, and I think you'll learn something from it, and then we can wrap that inside of a package of, well, here's my story, and I'm telling that story through the eyes of my 6-year-old girl at her daughter at her birthday party, or through the eyes of my family as they take some camping trip or something like that. And that tends to lead home movies into the sort of the realm of narrative storytelling.
So once you've got that, once you've got your plan or your script or your idea, how do you execute it? So how do I actually start shooting this thing now?
Well, I think the thing to do is to start to break it down and shoot as if you're going to edit it.
Okay.
What we find with new directors all the time is that new directors try to shoot the whole movie on every shot. Shoot the whole scene on every shot. But knowing that editing software is so available, iMovie.
So you mean it just is like one master shot or something?
Yeah,
They just
or
try
it's
to do
like,
the whole...
I'm shooting a picture of you, and then I'm going to pan over here, then I'm going to shoot over here, then I'm going to shoot the tree, then we're going back to our water bottle all in one shot. But knowing that in a very simple way, we can shoot a take of you, a take of the tree, a take of the person, and a take of the water bottle, and very easily cut that up into something that makes some kind of editorial sense. I think that's the thing. So to discover how to do that, to discover how to create these, a program of editing, well, training, of course, is the best way to do it, is to go actually learn to be an editor.
I just want to say, by the way, I'm impressed by some of the feature films they've had where, it wasn't The Fugitive, it was Harrison Ford and Michelle Pfeiffer. What was the one where they had the really long tracking shot, though, where or they've even had movies, somebody like experimental movie where like the whole thing 90 minutes or something. I don't know how good it was.
Oh, well, Time Code, the Mike Figgis film Time Code, was a 90-minute movie shot with 4 cameras at the same time that came together and went away.
Okay,
And then, of course, Rope, the Hitchcock film Rope, which was, although it was shot on film on 10-minute loads, still transitioned as if it was a non-stop 90-minute movie.
Yeah, that's really tight.
And really, that's about
and
prep.
everything.
And with Hitchcock especially, it's so about prep. It's like how you sort of figure this out. So really, I think to answer your question, it's approach a project, a small project, from the standpoint of the editor, whether it's you, the dad, or whatever, or it's actually somebody who's going to edit.
And also, I guess thinking, they say one reason you should bring an editor into your project early on too is just so that you think like the editor, not only in the sense of individual shots, but realizing what shots the editor might be looking for. It's like a close-up of this, or you do all your shooting, and then you realize, oh, well, you forgot the hand or the foot or the
Right. So what we would do, and it's trickier in a documentary format than it is in a narrative format. But what we really want to do is sit down and create some kind of shot list. some kind of map that you can go down. So you can look at a scene, no matter what it is, and say, well, how do I establish the scene? You know, here's a picture of a house. How do I create a master shot? Well, here's a wide shot of these 5 or 6 people together. And then what are the elements in that scene that are critical that I'm going to want to show later? And that's how you just simply create a series of close-ups and 2 shots or whatever other work you need in order that you can then cut together later. Always, and it's the vital part, always thinking about how the audience will react to that.
Now, when you have your shot list, you're also doing the storyboarding as well, or do you do that after the, how does that all?
You know, my opinion of storyboards is that I prefer to work off shot lists and overhead diagrams. You know,
Okay.
and again, I think in a narrative environment, the one commodity we have that is more vital than anything else that we are precious about is time.
Right.
We want to give the director as much time as possible to work, and to that end, that's where all this prep is coming from. So, you know, we're trying to figure out how we're going to stuff, you know, a 14-hour day into 10, almost all the time.
Yeah.
And so to do that, you know, we look at a scene exactly like that, and you say, well, we need an establishing shot, we need a master, and we make this list, and we're sticking to that. Now, whether you storyboard it or not, you know, on a small project.
I want to see people storyboard their birthday videos.
You know, that's the whole
that's
point.
what
I mean, you know,
saying.
it's more of a documentary project,
Right.
but I think that doesn't take away from the fact that you still need to have some kind of structure in terms of editing and shot list to work from. If nothing else, you can look at the list at the end of the day and say, oh God, I forgot the birthday cake. You know, I mean, you know, you shoot your wedding video and oh God, I forgot the picture of the bride and groom.
Wow.
And it happens.
I guess you get wrapped up for the, can't see the forest for the trees
Something
or
like
something.
that, hide in plain sight. So, so really, I think it's a question of creating all of this forethought into what your piece is going to look like, and then very simply executing it. Now, in narrative work, there's a whole process we go through that's applicable to home video. But in narrative work, we would break down a script in terms of what shots we need, looking at it from the point of view of the audience. Then we would look at what the reference material is that we could provide our collaborators. So if we have we want it to look like this particular painter, we want it to look like this kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm interested in, because again, I say a lot of people pick up the camera and start shooting,
Right.
but a professional cinematographer brings so much more to it as far as the visual look, and you know, there was like the professional photographer who takes the good photos versus
Right.
the person who's just taking the
Snapshots,
snapshots.
exactly
you know.
right. Yeah, so what we're looking at is again, in a relationship in a film between a director, a cinematographer, and a production designer, we're trying to get those 3 people on the same page. And the only way I know to do it is with reference material. It's to like pick up a painting or a photograph or a drawing or a magazine tear sheet or something and say, see, I want it to look like this, or I specifically don't want it to look like this. You know, when I go out and I start talking to DPs or designers, I have stacks and stacks of images. And I just
And
look
so,
at it and say,
but they will even go, as you said, to museums and pick out certain
all the
paintings
time,
that'll be very.
all the time.
So
You
it
know,
shows you what an art it really is.
and it's funny because as my career has moved along, in the past couple of years, I've gotten much more involved in looking at modern work. Whereas 5 years ago, I paid no attention to it. Today, I'm all wrapped up in Jackson Pollock and Mark Rothko and Diebenkorn and all these guys who are really very modern creators of graphic work, you know, using color and design, you know. And I'm using that as a stepping off point now for creating a look for a lot of work rather than the more traditional work that I've always looked at, the Impressionists and the Renaissance painters and all that. So to take this kind of broad visual scope and package it into something, it's very easy to say, well, I want this to look like
Picasso.
Yeah, Picasso or a Cartier-Bresson photograph or a Stieglitz photograph or an Ansel Adams photograph, and just something so simple as that to hook on. You know, if you love Ansel Adams as a photographer, create a movie based on that look, and and you can do it in a home video environment. If you love Vermeer as a painter, then you can actually create a project based on the lighting and the style of his work. You know, that soft north light always coming through the same window and all of the things that he did so well. And that is completely applicable to what any film, any movie, be it a large feature or a small home project.
Yeah, because I think, again, you know, although I like some of the very stunning visual photography, but yet it's not always just about a pretty picture. It can be a very, you know, stark or, you know, as you know, I mean, just so many different. For instance, I think of War of the Worlds. I think, you know, was going for more of like the blue collar, the gritty kind of, you know, and they did it very effectively with that. I mean, the remake of War of the Worlds, and so, you know, it doesn't even just always have to be like pretty pictures. It can be something very stylized or artistic and a different kind of...
You know, one of my all-time favorite films is a movie called Babette's Feast. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's a small story, and the photography is so simple. It's just so simple, and it's nice, but it's just simple. But the story is so compelling that you get drawn in no matter what. And there are great movies that are shot, you know, with mediocre photography and design. There are mediocre movies that are just drop dead gorgeous. So really what we want to do is create the whole package, and that whole package gets created through a good script and great collaboration. And I think that's kind of the next step in this whole thing. Once you sort of know what you're going to do, is to figure out who's going to do it.
Okay.
Are you best served, you know, being your own editor or not?
We'll pick up on that in just a second. We'll be right back with Jeffrey Seckendorf telling you how to turn out those professional quality birthday videos or your own digital film. We'll be right back. We are back with Jeffrey Seckendorf today telling you how you can turn out professional home video, movies, you name it. So before the break you were talking about kind of division of labor or splitting up some of the tasks.
Right, and I think that's vital on any project that, you know, we try to just find people who will make the movie with us, no matter what it is. So, you know, generally, a director or a home movie maker will make a stronger film with somebody else editing, with somebody else designing, with somebody else shooting even. You know, there's that
well, you know, the whole do-it-yourself thing can get a bit old after a while.
It gets old.
It's always
you know?
nice to outsource.
Do you want to fix your own car?
Oh, I know.
Kind of a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and really, I think that one of the great things about being in Los Angeles is that there are so many opportunities to make, to work with like-minded people, because there are so many people in town making films at every single level.
Right.
And one of the things we're working really hard on now is to create a system of training that is accessible to everybody, so you can make that easy jump from home movies to short narrative to features and things like that. And I think that's the place where people really get stuck, is that, you know, well, I made great home movies when I was younger or now, and now what I want to do is make a narrative short film like The Crux or something like that. Okay. And so how do you get across that gap? And really, I think what we find is so many people get across the gap by taking their camera and taking, you know, their small editing system and finding a script and just going.
The do-it-yourself approach.
Do-it-yourselfers.
Well, there is something to be said. I mean, I appreciate people who have the initiative and go out there and do it, but I know you showed me before, and you got your whole DVD series here that you've come out with about different training or different aspects of film production. And you also, I believe, run seminars and have training for people who want to kind of take it to the next level and do something a little more systematic than just going out and winging it.
So what I've done is I've created a company called One-on-One Film Training, which is designed to work with emerging directors. So we take people who come from any walk of life. We have lots of career change people, ex-studio execs, theater directors, home movie makers, everybody who have a script or have an idea and want to do some kind of training outside the scope of film school. And so this is a customized program where people come into the program and we...
So this is for people who don't want to go to film school or don't have time?
Or already did,
or have,
and didn't get what they needed or anything. It's really, this is a very focused, tight training program. But because we customize the program to each individual person, so I know you mentioned you want to work on it, you want to do a short film.
I've been thinking about doing a couple of short films,
a script and some ideas going. We would look at your background specifically, which is, you know a lot about television, you know a lot about the world and all of that. And we would just take all of that and build on it and apply that to narrative feature filmmaking.
Yeah, because see, that's the thing. I mean, you know, I've definitely, as far as like studio production, I have the routine down.
Right.
That's
what we're doing here today.
But when you take it out in the field and you've got to, you know, bring the cameras and the lighting, and that's what part of the reason that, you know, I kept asking you about, you know, like how you know, the look and the visual, because, you know, there's so much more that comes into play than when you really get out there and start shooting on film with.
We've created the One-on-One program and all of that has created a system by which you can actually head off so many mistakes and so much time that is just, there's no point to waste. And there's no point to go learn it yourself when there, you know, and there are 1,000 ways to do it in Los Angeles or in New York or wherever you happen to be. There's workshops and there's classes and there's film schools and all of that. You know, we've created one system that works really well.
And what is your system? I mean, are they?
It's this one-on-one custom design program.
But as far as you've got short seminars and then a longer program, or? We
design programs very specifically for individual people based on how much time they have to spend, how much money they have to spend, and you know what they're going. We also run workshops and all the more traditional training.
So it could be one day or it could be weeks or something.
Some people come in for 4 hours and some people come in for 5-6 months. Everybody's different. Yeah, it's one-on-one-filmtraining.com.
Well, we'll talk afterward. It's time to get out there and do it.
It's time to get your movie made.
You quote Goethe, I think, on your website saying, something like, this isn't quite his wording, but like the people who get off their butt and do it are the ones, you know, that there's a, you can get in the mode of talking.
Yes.
Gerda said it a little
Yes.
bit more
Yes.
eloquently than that.
I don't remember
but you know,
exactly
but doing it and going for it is a lot of it. So,
Yes.
so
Good.
I got to make that short film.
And we're going to help you.
Great.
Fabulous.
Well, this is Jeffrey Seckendorf today telling us how to make those great birthday videos and help me make my short film here. Thank you very much for being
Really
here,
great.
Jeffrey.
Thank you, Greg.
Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you next time.